Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden what if, whatever you want to call me. And I'm back. This is part 2 of what if Isagi had a Sharingan weapon. And I want to say I apologize for the leap of absence. I think I was gone for a little over a week. I'm sorry about that. And I've been kind of sick, dealing with a toothache, some other stuff. It's just a combination of a bunch of things. I won't waste that much time here explaining all of that. But yeah, I appreciate everything that y'all have done for me and everything, all the support. So I'm gonna try to get this Sharingan series, the Tanjiro series. I want to finish those series because I know those are the series that I left off on. So I'll do my best to finish those. And yeah, I'm not gonna waste that much more of your time with the antics. Let's get right into part 2 of what if Isagi had a Sharingan weapon. Let's get it. Now it's time for match 3. Match 3 is the determining match that would change everything, or at least kind of cement them into going into the next selection. Match 3 is against Team W, and more like the team with the Wanama twins. Team W is a simple team in some ways, you could say. But Team W is headed against Isagi's team, in which it seems as if with Isagi at the forefront, they're practically unstoppable. Isagi sees things better than anybody could possibly imagine, and the tandem of the Wanama twins, it doesn't change much. Because once the Wanama twins start racing down the field and try to coordinate their attacks, it seems like their coordination begins to crumble extremely fast. It seems as if every time they do one dribble, one pass, one take, it seems as if every time they try to juke, dodge, weave, anything, it seems as if they're going the wrong direction. When they want to go left, they go right. When one of the Wanama twins wants the pass to be high, it's actually low. It seems like their coordination is all jumbled up, leading to Isagi playing perfect defense. He would easily steal the ball, taking it away from them and dipping down the field as fast as possible. He looks forward to see Kunigami. He would pass the ball beautifully to Kunigami as he would score a goal. And everybody on his side of the field, or Team Z, would see the true brilliance that Isagi brings to the field of football. He would obviously be able to take on the entirety of the field. It's as if it's all constrained. Everything he's doing, it seems as if nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. In which that's the perfect aspect of what he's doing. His eyes more or less show him and show others different things. Isagi sees true reality when everybody else doesn't see that at all. And frankly, there is no prepping for the eyes of Isagi. At first glance, it's almost impossible to prepare for it. Because at the end of the day, even the Wanama twins can't really pinpoint what's happening in its totality. It seems like every time they go down the field, they're doing the opposite of what they normally do. Which is the truth behind what Isagi is capable of. He's making them do the opposite of what they normally do. But even when they're able to kind of pick up on the idea that Isagi is doing some very outlandish and crazy things, it's not like they're able to kind of develop or kind of change their game to prevent him from doing such things. He's practically unstoppable. Frankly, all they can do is try to slow down the pace and make things kind of just easier for them to understand. This would lead them to get a goal against obviously some of the weaker defenders on Team Z, but in terms of Isagi, all he would be doing is setting up his team for amazing and spectacular goals over and over and over again. They would score goal after goal and they would go up a large margin, and this would lead to Isagi telling them that they can kind of switch up spots on the field now. This would give Raichi a chance to kind of show what he's capable of, what he's able to do, and frankly, what he wants to be able to show everyone he's capable of, that he is some striker. But frankly, his defense throughout this time has been developing far better than his ability to strike across the field and his ability to score the football. And that's just the reality of it. Not everybody here can be necessarily a striker, because at the end of the day, some of them will be more dominant than others, And that is all that is being shown in this game. It would finally be over. The game between Team Z and Team W would come to an end with a scoreline of about 8-1. And it was just pure dominance. That's all it was throughout the entire game. That's all it was throughout the entire time. Now they have 3 wins under their belt, and Isagi feels pretty comfortable that there's no way they will get bounced out of Blue Lock. Let's just say he decides to go in with his kind of idea that he had already. He tells them all that he'll go and he'll play goalie for the next game. It obviously doesn't matter anymore, so they can show off their chance and how good they are as a striker, so they can figure out whatever scheme they want to do and whatever things they want to do as well. Kunigami and Bachira agree to this, saying that they'll take a backseat as well, being that Isagi did want them mainly in the forefront, especially when he was playing, because they were the easiest to actually maneuver and utilize. And even with the kind of the outburst of Chiguri in game or in the game against Team W, just from the pure trash talk, Chiguri still would kind of take that forefront ahead of most people. So it would be more like Chiguri, Raichi, and some of the other people that don't really get that spotlight, which is completely fine with Isagi. Isagi thinks that this is a good idea, so they begin to kind of plan it out. I mean, they are taking on Team V. Team V is said to be the best, literally one of the or the best team in Blue Lock, at least in their bracket. So it is not going to be an easy game by any means. So during their practices, they begin scheming up different plans and different things that they should do. And it's obvious that, well, things aren't as smooth. Things are nowhere near as smooth, especially with Isagi not taking the lead. And during their practices, it would show just that. But before the game against Team V, they would all head to the cafeteria and kind of hang out, eat some food. Obviously, they did celebrate their win against Team W. And Isagi would actually get a chance to speak with some of the people in Team V, being that of Ryo, Nagi, and Zantetsu. But frankly, their conversation wasn't that good. It would just kind of irritate Isagi at the fact that Nagi doesn't really care much about football in general. And frankly, he kind of just sits there, says it's boring, saying that he would rather not play at all, and so on and so forth, which kind of just irritates him. But Isagi still made his promise, so he's still going to, play goalie and all that for this next match. But he is kind of annoyed that he made the promise, because he kind of wants to absolutely destroy this team. He's annoyed that they act the way they do. He's annoyed that this other purple-haired dude kind of condones it. He doesn't care about the way Nagi acts. Like, this is a beautiful game. Football is a beautiful game to him, and he loves football. This is obviously his dream sport. So the fact that this other dude just obviously doesn't care about it, and he's just here for basically the ride, it kind of irritates the heck out of him. But still, he just kind of has to ignore it for now. But once he steps on the field with Team V is a little confused at the fact that he's at the goalie position, and it seems like their entire game plan is completely different, and completely different at that. But they would quickly find some plays, have some setup plays for people like Gagamaru and people like Raichi, and they would get down the field, but they wouldn't be able to score. I mean, it's not like their defense is completely sound, but at the same time, Team V's defense not completely sound, but at the same time, their experience at striking, especially at this level of Blue Lock, seems to be a little bit on the rough side of things. Which, that's just the fact of the matter. They haven't been playing the striker position, but with Chiguri on the field, it does make it slightly easier. But the matchup with Zentetsu is a pretty difficult one for Chiguri himself. So quickly, it's obvious that Team Z is struggling to score without Isagi at the forefront. But that's okay, right? I mean, they can figure it out. I mean, they should be able to at least. And quickly, they realize how talented, though, Nagi and Ryo really are, or more like Nagi. Ryo would pass the ball down the field to Nagi, and in mid-air, he would be able to stop the ball with ease. Isagi, though, he is ready for this. He looks exactly toward Nagi, and as Nagi shoots the goal, Nagi whiffs, completely missing the goal entirely, and Nagi's confused at how he was able to do that, and Isagi taunts him, saying that it doesn't seem like this little prodigy is very good in the first place. Seems like he's kind of lacking a lot of things. Maybe he should do some more practicing before coming up on the big stage and talking all high and mighty about how the game is boring. Isagi continues to taunt him, and frankly, it's funny because the game would be 0-0 for a long time. It would be a lot of Isagi basically distracting Nagi and him missing goals, but also Isagi saving goals relatively easily. And this is all because of his vision, his eyesight. He can see everything that's happening and also manipulate different strikers to missing goals. He didn't think it would be this easy, but it's actually kind of funny that it became this easy for him to stop. And throughout this time, let's just say it continued to be a struggle fest for both teams. Even Ego is kind of watching this in complete confusion. I mean, at the end of the day, they were the two most high scoring teams in their group, so he didn't think it would be this bad. I mean, he didn't expect it to be this difficult for a team of a bunch of strikers to kind of score, but it seems as if Isagi makes a bigger deal to the team than he actually even expected himself. But eventually, with the clock ticking down and it being 0-0, Isagi would eventually save one of the goals, and he would kind of tell them that they really need to switch up their game plan if it's going to be this bad. And Isagi would look at Chuguri sprinting down the field, and he would immediately boot it as hard as possible kind of toward him, but in a perfect position. And from even where he was at the goalie position, he begins manipulating the people around Chuguri. And as he does this, he sees as Chuguri breaks free, he's wide open, and eventually he would score with very little time remaining, and Team V, wouldn't have enough time to even retaliate. They would score and they would win 1-0. Yeah, the lowest scoring game they've seen really ever, and frankly the lowest scoring game and kind of a very unpredictable game at this, especially with two teams that have outscored their opposers kind of by insane margins. But still, the game's over, and Team Z goes 4-0 in their bracket, and Team V goes 3-1, which puts them at a second place, and a pretty solid second place at that. With that said, though, there's a lot more to do, and when they arrive back in their locker rooms, Jinpachi Ego would speak to them all, talking about what they're going to be doing next and what was the point of all of this. He explains it in pretty simple terms, but he tells them all that there was something to learn about being strikers on a team being a striker in a team full of strikers. And he explains to them all that they really needed to find their own way, find exactly what they were capable of and how they could work together, especially in this unorthodox place. With that said, though, now they're going to be working on their individual performances. It seems as if, Jinpachi Ego has a plan for all of them, especially when he tells them all that for the next day or so, they're going to be completely working and training extremely hard, getting their bodies and conditioning them properly so that they are all completely ready to go. The training would then put them all in a position of obviously being ready for the next part of their entire Blue Lock experience. But the next part is actually part of the second selection, which is Blue Lock Man. Blue Lock Man is a interesting thing. It's a hologram, but it's an interactive hologram, and it's the perfect goalie. And this Blue Lock Man actually is extremely, extremely good. And frankly, it just seems that everybody, or at least most people, will struggle with Blue Lock Man, because it seems like Blue Lock Man is kind of just reading everything. But what happens when Isagi faces off with Blue Lock Man? Can he manipulate Blue Lock Man how he does everyone else? Not exactly. His eyes literally do not work on him at all. And it's actually kind of irritating for Isagi, but that's fine. He kind of doesn't have to rely on his eyes to win. So he begins to push himself, stress his body, and even develop more and more skills outside of his eyes, which this will only help him in the long run, making him even better of a striker, because eventually he would score his 90 goals, or his 100 goals in 90 minutes. And frankly, he would see absolute insane progression for himself. His confidence would be at a all-time high, and when he walks out and he sees the people there waiting, he's ready for whatever is to come. He walks over and immediately sees Bachira, and Bachira would say that they should join a team together and that they should basically be a duo, in which Bachira has excelled so far as well, even further than he would have in canon. But eventually someone else that would even surprise Isagi would walk up to him, and that would be Nagi. He's not sure why, but Nagi would question how he was able to basically make him miss, and how he's able to make him whiff on all of the goals. And Isagi would shrug and say maybe he's just not as good as he thought he was. Maybe he's just a fraud. And of course Nagi would kind of be off-putted by this, but then he would say that that's just not the case. There's no way. He must have some special aura or ability. And Isagi would kind of shrug it off and say he's not going to give his secrets to the enemy. He's going to be facing off with him, so there's no reason for him to give secrets. So Nagi would eventually stand there and be confused, but then eventually say that how about if they're not enemies? How about if they're teammates? He wants to join Isagi's team. And Isagi would be confused by this and look at Reo, and you can see that Reo's literally in complete shock. And Isagi says that why would he just leave his teammates? But Nagi would say that he needs to know what the capabilities of Isagi is, and if it's insane, he might want to play with him. That if they play together, he might be able to excel just like how Bachira has and how other people have on his team. And he saw a glimpse of it from the one pass he sent to Chiguri, in which Isagi would kind of laugh at this, and he would shake his head, and he would look at Bachira saying that it's his call, that he doesn't really care as much as everyone else, that he'll take on whoever, and that he'll also be on a team with whoever. Bachira would kind of scratch his chin and then think that maybe this is a great idea. He says that as much as Isagi calls him a fraud, Nagi is actually extremely talented, so maybe they should give it a try. So Bachira would accept, and they would join as a team. Bachira, Isagi, and Nagi. And they would walk through the doors as Reo stands there completely stunned. But as they walk through those doors, they would see the first people that came through. It is Tokumitsu, Rin, and Aru. And frankly, that team right there is the one that nobody would want to mess with. But Isagi is interested in seeing how good Nagi really is, so he tells him that maybe they should take on the best of the best. He sees the 1, the 2, and the 3 on their shoulder, and the reason why Isagi is not as high as he really should be is because of the one game he didn't really score on at all. But that's fine. He doesn't care, as he walks up and he challenges the team of Rin. Now, how will this go down? Will Isagi overwhelm them with his eyes, and will he be able to manipulate the field how he's been the entire time? Or will Rin and his knowledge and vision of football be able to take over himself? Well, you're gonna have to find out in part 3 of What If Isagi Had a Sharingan Weapon. And if you enjoyed, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'm sorry for the lack of uploads and how long it's taken to get the video out, so I apologize on that regard. Don't know how often I'm gonna be uploading just right now, because some things are going on and it's not a perfect timing for me. I do have a new schedule that I want to enact for those who don't really watch Blue Lock, for those who like My Hero, like Demon Slayer, stuff like that. I do have a plan to basically do a series of Blue Lock 1 week, My Hero Academia the next, and Demon Slayer the next, or stuff like that. I feel like that would probably be for the best, and maybe it will keep things fresh for me as well. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really got to say. I don't know when I'm gonna start doing that. I'll definitely inform y'all when I start doing that. But yeah, that's all I got to say. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope y'all have an amazing day. Later.